Hello, I'm Dr. Gary Gould, and today I'm in the studio and I'm going to walk through some advanced shooting and lighting techniques that you will use for documentary. Now, I'm going to use my smartphone because it has a super wide lens on it. The audio might be a little bit difficult because it's a bit hollow and I don't have a lav mic for my camera. One of the things that we will talk about in general is, of course, the most important thing is to record, make sure the recording works. I did this recording before. I've spent about an hour and a half doing it, and both times it didn't record properly. I used a different camera, and it failed on me. It failed, so that hour and a half is lost. Now, for me, an hour and a half, it's frustrating and it's disappointing, but it's time I can redo because I'll just do it again. But if I'm interviewing somebody, that's not the case. I've spent a half an hour interviewing them. If the device doesn't record or it fails in some way, you've lost the interview. They say, look, I'm sorry, I'm out of time, I have to go, and you have nothing. So it's always a good idea to back stuff up. So I'm going to suggest you use the pro level camera, but it's also not a bad idea to set up your smartphone as a camera. These things are dead simple and they're really reliable too. The problem with the smartphone, of course, will be the audio isn't going to be as good, which is something we can get better on a professional camera. So the most important thing is that it records. The second most important thing is that the sound quality is good. So I'm going to try to project to give you the best quality sound that I can, but I also know that it's going to be a bit hollow because I don't have a lavalier microphone hooked up. The other camera I was using did, but it failed on me, and I don't have a wireless microphone for my webcam with me, or my smartphone here. So I think it'll be fine. So the first thing I want to say is the camera that I'm going to suggest is shooting with a pro level camera because you can use the XLR inputs on the camera, and by plugging into the XLR inputs you're going to get pro level sound. You can use professional microphones like this hand mic. Generally though, we don't want to use hand mics in documentary and feature production. We're going to use a wireless mic system, which would be simply clipping the microphone onto the person's shirt, right? And then once you've clipped it on, you are going to get good sound. Now when you clip a microphone onto their shirt, you don't clip it on, you ask them to do it, so you show them how the clip works and then have them clip it on their top. If it's appropriate, if there's like, this one has a little place you can clip it into, so be sensitive, right, when you're suggesting using a lav mic or not, but never give the person the hand mic. You would never hand them the microphone and say, hold it, that would be awkward. So the lav mic works really nice. And if you do use a lavalier microphone, it's always best if you can somehow hide the cord and not just have it hanging out of their top. A safer way to do the microphone is to go over the shoulder like this and it come around, and you can kind of hide the cable underneath their collar, or if they're wearing a scarf, that works as well. That works really good as well. The other thing, I'm just going to put my camera down here for a second to show you this. Another thing we can use is a shotgun microphone. The shotgun microphone could be mounted to a shotgun, like a boom pole like this one, and then once you have it mounted, this should just clip in. And we're going to put a cable on it. You're going to mount it like this, and then you can extend it. I think you can all see that. And then you've got a really nice microphone that requires no clipping of microphones, nobody holding the microphone. We're going to use the microphone here. Hey, but there's nothing plugged into the back. This is not a wireless microphone. You're going to have to plug in the XLR cable into the back of the microphone, right? It clips in like everything else. And then once it's clipped in, you're going to wrap the cable around the pole, right? And you're going to, like, very loosely, I'm not going to do it, you can do it later, but just loose wrapping, and then you're going to hold the pole and aim at center mass, not at their mouth. You're going to aim it towards just their body mass, and that will give us the best sound quality from a shotgun microphone. And again, quality of sound matters. It's probably very hollow on that camera. Smartphones are great for pictures, they're not great for sound, and that is the problem. But again, today I love it because it's got a nice wide lens, and it's going to let me show you this workshop, I think, in a very hopefully active way. So I have some microphone parts and pieces here. You can see I have a couple of lav mics. These lavalier mics need batteries, okay? So remember, you might want to throw in a couple of AA batteries in a little kit. I always suggest for documentary crews, you have a little go bag, and in the go bag, I'm going to have 4 AA batteries, alkaline batteries that I buy at the Dollar Tree or one of those cheap stores. The other thing I'm going to put in my go bag is the SD card, because anything I use, whether it's this camera or a DSLR, will require at least 1 SD card. This one takes 2, and this is also not a bad idea when you're doing documentary to use 2 SD cards and record the interview twice. In the back, in the menu of the camera, you can change it to a mode called backup mode, and it will record the same material to both SD cards. Why do I want to back it up? Take it from me, I just spent an hour and a half in the studio recording, and it did not record. The recording failed, and there was no backup. How'd that happen? I trusted something when I shouldn't. So it was a good guess. I tested it, and it worked fine, but with the longer files, it just failed. So that's why I am doing this again, which is a good lesson for all of us. Again, so we're going to make sure you have a couple extra SD cards, or bring at least 2 of them. And in the go bag, I'm going to put an extra SD card, also to number the SD cards. Another thing I'd put in the go bag is a little bottle of water. Like, for example, right now my throat's getting a little dry from 4 hours of talking. So it's kind of nice in the middle of an interview, if somebody's starting to get a little thirsty, or you can hear the saliva in their mouth, just give them a drink of water. Refreshingly cold, and I'm good to go again. If somebody has to stop in the middle of an interview to go get a drink, it can quite badly disrupt your interview, especially if you're on a roll. All right? So wireless microphones are an excellent way to get good sound, but because the mics are so close to the person's mouth, any kind of saliva, dry mouth you will hear very, very clearly, and it can be very off-putting when you're trying to edit. It's like, oh, it's disturbing, and it makes them sound nervous, and perhaps they're hot because of the studio lights. And we don't want to misrepresent somebody thinking, oh, that person's clearly nervous, or they must not be telling us the truth because they sound like they have a dry mouth. Okay, so be careful of that. We want excellent sound, and we've got lots of equipment to do that. So number 1 is audio. And again, a pro-level camera gives you audio inputs that a DSLR does not. DSLRs have a little microphone input, which is the mini jack, which is very, very, it's good, but it could be a problem. It's not as reliable. Any kind of microphone that you plug in, you should also then plug in a headphone. The professional level cameras have a headphone jack at the back, so I can put headphones on. So again, in my go bag, I'm going to throw in an extra pair of earbud headphones, just in case I forget headphones when I'm shooting. I have something I can plug in to monitor the quality of sound. But you might say, hey, I'm using a DSLR, but my DSLR has a meter, a VU, a volume meter that shows me that it's moving. Yeah, I've used enough VU meters to know that only shows you that it's getting a sound. It doesn't mean it's good quality sound. Especially if you're using the boom pole, and people are banging it around, you want to make sure that the quality of sound coming off the microphone isn't in any way impeded by the sound, like by the piping on the boom pole. Make sense? Okay. So good sound, important. Recording quality, important. Having an SD card is also critically important as well. Now the next thing, and really the most important thing, is the lighting. But before I get to lighting, I'm going to show you this tripod. Stability, okay? So a nice stable picture is important when you're trying to shoot your video. What's wrong with a smartphone? Well, let me tell you what's wrong with a smartphone. It's very hard to hold the smartphone for more than a few minutes, which is why you're going to see me put the smartphone down through the course of this little demonstration, because my arm is killing me. When my arm is killing me, I'm now focusing on holding the camera, and I'm not listening. One of the most important things in documentary and feature are interviews. And when we interview people, we have to listen to people. What is it that they are saying? It's very, very important that we listen to their answers so that we don't ask them something they've already answered. And I've seen that happen where people ask a question and the person says, I literally just told you that. So listening is very important. And if you're focused on holding the camera, it is very difficult. Like my arm now is starting to really hurt, okay? So, and if you're not sure, you don't believe me, hold the camera up. Go pick up your cell phone and hold it for 5 minutes. So the tripod is our friend, and it also is, it's fantastic. So when you use a pro-level camera, it comes with a plate. Make sure the plate is on it, and that plate will go onto the camera. It'll slide in, no problem. So make sure it fits. Stability, very, very important, and audio, very important. Now, I don't know when I'm moving around if this light behind me has given us a problem. This is what we call a backlight, right? So I've got that on to demonstrate something with lighting. See that light up there? There's 2 types of lighting. There's hard lighting and there's soft lighting. So the fluorescent lights here, let's look at the floor, okay? So the fluorescent lights give us sort of a soft, well, it's a bit hard over here, but kind of a soft shadow. See the soft shadow right there? A hard light will give a hard direct shadow, like an outline. I'll show you this with this Filex light. So I'm going to spark the light, turn it on, and now watch. See the hard shadow? This is a hard shadow right there. Peter Pan couldn't find their shadow, right? So hard light creates hard shadow. So what's wrong with a hard shadow? If we're doing a horror movie or we're doing a drama, theater, thriller, it can be fantastic. Dramatic lighting, hard dramatic lighting. Let me actually show you. Can you see it with my face? Is there shadows on my face? Probably because that backlight's on, not so much. But let me turn that around. So hard direct lighting can be very, very effective in terms of creating character and mood. However, in documentary and feature, we're not trying to make somebody look monstrous. It's very important in our world that we are neutral in our shooting and our lighting. So I mentioned the tripod. When we set up a tripod, we want to make sure that the eye level of the camera is dead level with the subject. Now, why does that matter? Let me actually show you. So here's the shot here, my eye is eye level. If you shoot above my eye level and you shoot down on me, you're minimizing and diminishing me as a person. If you shoot below the level, I'm now dominating the frame, plus you can see up my nostrils, okay? So again, I can't really see how the framing is because the camera's backwards, but you can see eye level is better. Not just that, when we're framing somebody up, we do not want to have them look into the lens, we have them look off the lens. So you're going to frame somebody so they're looking towards the reporter who should be standing next to the camera, right? So the camera's here and the reporter's there and I'm looking at the reporter. If the reporter is sitting or standing, it doesn't matter, as long as they are eye level. So when I look at them, I'm looking to them eye level. What you don't want is a eye level camera and then I look up at them. See the problem? Or I look down on them, right? We want to make sure camera eye level and the reporter is eye level as well. This is very important to keeping things neutral. Now, in terms of framing, I'm going to turn the camera around so I can show you framing this way, okay? Actually, let me go into some light. So we'll get some nice lighting, okay? That's actually quite good. So when you're interviewing somebody, you want a medium close-up. This is actually not a bad shot. So you don't want a profile of my face. See the profile? Because we're going to look at the eyes. So as I bring my head back, I want the reporter to be right next to the camera. Do you see both my eyes and how do they look? Pretty fabulous, right? So my eyes are looking off the camera there. I'm not looking into the camera. There's something called the subjective-objective barrier. If I'm looking into the camera, people are like, whoa, the person's looking at me. So we don't want to do that. So we want to look off. So again, the reporter is just off the camera, right? Camera, reporter. Reporter stands next to the lens. Don't let the person, if they keep turning and looking into the lens, you say, sir, can you, or whoever, Gary, do you mind looking into the camera? You don't have to call me sir, right? So do you mind looking into the camera? Sorry, do you mind not looking into the camera? Just forget the camera and look at me. No problem. If it's a profile shot like this, I can 100% guarantee you they're going to be turning, talking to the camera, and then back and forth this way. 100% guarantee. If you don't believe me, try it, okay? Now, you're going to notice in this shot, my face is looking this way on the screen. One of the other things I put in my Go kit is a reporter's notebook, and in the reporter's notebook, I have the number, like the SD card number, and what's on it. So SD card number 1, interview with Gary Gould, PhD. Before I interview Gary, I'm going to hand the reporter's notebook to Gary and say, do you mind printing your name? So Gary says, no problem. And Gary then prints out the name perfectly spelled. So that way you know you have a perfectly spelled version of the person's name. If they say later it's spelled wrong, you're like, well, you wrote it down. Once they spell their name out, I take the reporter's notebook back and I draw a little picture, a circle and a nose, so I know which way they are looking on camera. So Dr. Gary Gould is looking this way. Let's say Dr. Gary Gould is talking about baseball and what a great sport it is, right? So I'm looking this way. Well, then you get somebody else who has the counterpoint or a different opinion, different view. So then you don't want to have everybody looking the same way in your documentary or feature. You want to mix it up. So for the next person, let me just trade it over. You're going to have them look the other way. So Dr. Gould is looking this way and this person's looking this way. And then this person might say, baseball ruined my life. Right? And then they go on to maybe an injury they took or a ball hit them in the head or something, and how it's a terrible thing for them, right? So then you get counterpoint and point, and when you cut that together, you get a bit of a conversation. So it looks like people are looking the same way. However, it requires some planning and knowing which way the person was looking on the in the interview, all right? If you use 2 cameras, just make sure they're both on the same side of the nose, so stay on the one side. So if you have a shot like this and then maybe a wider shot over here, when you cut it back together, the face is still looking the same way. My preference is a tighter shot. I don't like a super wide shot. Armpits is generally where I like to cut it off, and space to talk into, all right? And the eyes should be about the 2/3 line. See, we're about here? You're not giving me headroom. It's not like this. But Gould, Dr. Gould, you have, you're in a studio. Okay, if you want to show me in the studio, then shoot me in the studio in the control room and doing B-roll and stuff. But I don't want to, during the interview, see a shot where you see the studio lights, because you're not interviewing the studio lights, you're interviewing me, okay? The other thing is, remember I talked about eye level? Eye level is great for interviews, but when you're doing B-roll, let's say you want to show me directing, so you put the camera down low and I'm doing one of these, that's fine. Use low angle, use high angle. Dr. Gould is in the studio. It's all fantastic. Also, to the way you frame somebody up. The thing that's really nice about the cameras is there's a zoom lens on the front, and you can zoom into a better shot. If you shoot the face with a wide angle shot, so this is the normal camera on the selfie camera. I'm going to flip it around. Oops, I think I just took a picture. And then I'm going to do this. This is the wide angle lens, and it's going to actually change the shape of my face, which isn't going to be as flattering as the other one. So a wider lens isn't great for interviews. I'm going to back the camera up and zoom it in, okay? So we talked about audio, very important. Wear headphones, bring them, or you can borrow them. Bring an extra SD card just in case, bring a reporter's notebook. I also threw a couple other things in there, like I said, a bottle of water or a cup so I can put water in it for the person. I also bring in some masking tape and a bag of plastic garbage bags. Garbage bags are great because you can't really see here, but there's a window and we have it covered with black curtains here. All right, but when you're in someone's house, you can't black out the curtain. You can't black out the window. You might say, well, Dr. Gould, why would I want to black out the curtain or the window? Because we did lighting, and this is the next thing we come to. Light has different color. The fluorescent lights above my head, meh, not really great color. They're just sort of a greeny blue color, not great for skin tone. Outside these beautiful windows, it's very blue. All right, what a wonderful shot. It's very, very blue. By the way, did you hear the sound quality change when I go into a place that has curtains to absorb the sound? Note to self, if you're ever doing a voiceover, go into your closet where your clothes are, or put a blanket over your head or a jacket or some pillows, and the sound quality will change dramatically because the sound is absorbed by the clothing. So there you go. But outside is very blue. Indoor light, like this light here, this is the Filex light. It's an LED light system, so it's not hot. It runs cold, which is nice. And on the back, I can actually, let's see if I can get the shot. I can dial in the color temperature. So outside is very blue. So blue light is about 5,600 degrees Kelvin. Actually, let me see. I'll turn out the light so we can see some color change, okay? And it'll be a bit more dramatic. My phone is going to color correct, so bear with me. But let's see. So this is a very blue light, 5,600. This is outdoor color temperature. So the way it would work is if I was going to use it, if that window was open and blue light was coming in, that's fine. I can use that if I can't block the window out, so then I would use my light to a blue color and balance it out. You do not want to mix light color temperatures. Outside, we talk about degrees Kelvin. Kelvin is the temperature, is degrees Kelvin. If you buy a light bulb, you look at it and it will have a Kelvin rating. 5,000 degrees K, 30,000 degrees K. The higher the number, the more blue it is. The lower the number, the more red warm it is, which is typically better. In my office, I'm only having warm light bulbs. I don't want the blue cold bulbs. It's not very pleasant to me. So we do use the blue light to color balance outside. Now this is interesting. So see how the light is very blue there? See how my hand looks very warm? What's happening is that light is 3,200 degrees Kelvin, and it's lighting my hand, which is not the same color as this light, which is very blue. If I change the dial temperature and make it more red, sorry, I'm going the wrong way. Oh, look at that, right? Now the color matches. See that? Right, it's better. It's much more natural. And see the blue versus the warmer color. What would you want, cold or blue? Now, you might say, well, that's not so good. Don't worry. The key with good lighting is, maybe that's not the key to good lighting, but the key to good proper color temperature is just make sure you don't have mixed lighting color. So keep it all indoor or all outdoor. When we're outdoor, I can balance the blue light to make it look proper, like white. We can get rid of some of the blue and make it balanced properly. So when you saw this, remember I put the camera out the window, how nice it looked? Because the camera says, oh, it color balanced for 5600 degrees Kelvin and made the color proper. Inside here, my phone is having a terrible time because it sees the warm light behind, and then if I go to blue, it doesn't know what to do with it because it's also picking up the skin tone, which is more of a redder color. So then you get a mixed lighting situation. Now, in some cases, maybe you want a mixed lighting situation. Maybe you want to have, probably looks okay. So you have the warm light on my face, which is the 3200 degree light there, and the blue background. Maybe you want it to, maybe I work in like a factory or a plant or a freezer or something, and you want the blue, or science lab, and you want blue behind me. You can do that. And sometimes we'll actually add a gel to our light to create even more blue. There's different types of gels. The one that we generally suggest taking with you is this, what we call frost gel. And this is a diffuser. So I'm going to show you. Let's actually properly balance the light to 3200 degrees Kelvin. And what's that, Dr. Gould? Look at that. I can also dial up the intensity of the light. So there's two knobs. There's a brightness control level, right? You can make it brighter or darker. And there's also a color temperature knob. These are excellent lights by a company called Philax, okay? Beautiful lights, and they're LED so they don't run hot. So now the light is color balanced. So I'm gonna show you hard lighting, okay? First of all, you can even see how hard that is on my eyes. Hard lighting, right? And as I get closer to the background, you'll see it's very, very defined. It's just forget it. Are you being interviewed like this, or is it a police interrogation? So my strong suggestion is don't use a hard direct light. Use diffusion, right? And actually there's a couple ways we can diffuse a light. We can use the frost, which I'm going to show you, or you can use an umbrella. And the umbrella is something, let me just put the phone down just for 1 second here. Let me just turn it like this. How's that? Can you see me? Smartphone shooting at its best, okay? So this is a shoot-through umbrella. And what does that mean? It means that, and I'll show that, let me turn it around like this. So see the hard light there? I put this in front of the lamp, and then it's going to have a nice soft light. Look at that, right? So that is now glowing, and it cuts down on the, it cuts down on the shadows. Look how nice that is, right? Hard lighting, see the shadow on the edge? And this just softens the light up beautifully. If I'm doing an interview, I can sit under the umbrella for quite some time. And actually, let's see if I can, it's going to take I only have so many hands here. So let's try this. This is why a tripod is a good idea, but this allows me a bit more dynamic. How's that look? Do I look fabulous? I think so. And the lighting helps too, right? But the lighting is pretty close to my face. Now watch this. That's really hard shadow. See the hard shadow on my nose? And it's diffused. So the diffusion works really nicely. There's two different types of umbrellas that typically are out there. There's this one, which is a pass-through. It's like an opaque material. And then there's a silver one. And the silver one will work differently. The opaque one, you're going to shoot through like this. The silver one, you use the opposite way and you bounce the light off the silver liner. I didn't bring one to show you, but they're easy to use as well. So you would mount the light, you'd turn the light around, and then you'd bounce the light off the silver reflector onto the subject. Does that make sense? Bounce, light, subject, versus shooting this way. The other thing you can do that's really simple is you can take this diffusion with you, this diffusion gel, and you can see I've got a clothes peg here. And again, this is going to be tough to do with one hand, but I'm going to clip it on, and I'm going to make it like a U-shaped. Generally, by the way, we turn off the light when we're putting gels on it. We don't want to burn anybody or anything. And I'm going to clip this on like this. And what this is going to allow me to do, like this, see what I've done? And it's blinding that light. But you see how the light is open at the top, sparking the light, be careful. And what that does, it's a built-in diffuser. All right, see how nice that looks? It's going to be a little brighter than the pass-through umbrella. But again, remember there was a brightness volume control. I can adjust the brightness to bring that level down if I want. And you get a really nice soft look. Let's actually turn down the intensity a little bit more. Okay, so you can adjust that or not. Now, the other thing that you need to know about doing video is light is our friend. The brighter things are, we get more color. The brighter things are, the camera can close the iris or the aperture down so we get more depth of field. And we're also going to get more resolution because the ISO or the sensitivity to light can go down as well, which gives us, again, a sharper picture. Time for a drink. Well, not a drink, water, okay? Bring it with you, it's important. The other thing I have here is this reflector. The reflector is probably my favorite lighting tool, bar none. So when you're lighting, you can use the reflector to bounce the light in. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set this light up here like this towards me, and I'm gonna put this phone down here like this. Hopefully you can see me. I hope you're enjoying the video. See how stable it is? Isn't that nice? So when you're shooting an interview, you're not shooting down, you're gonna shoot eye level, but pretend it's eye level, all right? So hard shadows here, I'm gonna use the reflector to fill in the light. How does that look? Can you see the difference? See that bounces the light in? In lighting, we have three lights. We have a key light. Key is another word for main light. Main light is this one. A fill light is this. So we have some shadows on my face, which is good. We're gonna bounce the light in to get rid of the shadows, but not all shadows. We like some shadows. And then we have the backlight, which outlines my hair and my shoulders. And I'm going to show you what that looks like by turning off this light and just leaving the backlight. How's that look? Can you see? Right, so this is just backlighting me. Shadows are our friend in lighting because what shadows do for us is they create depth. I was in the Vatican this summer, and there was one room when you look up, the ceiling, even though it's dead flat, looks like it's not dead flat, like it's all embossed or whatever, and it's done through painting of shadows. They paint shadows in, which creates the idea and dimension in the image. So we use the same thing in lighting. Lighting is not straight on lighting. You do not want to light straight to the face. I mean, this is going to blind me, so I'm going to go like this. You don't want flat lighting like this. You want some shadows. And proper lighting is what I call the Shawshank Redemption. Those of you have heard this before in other workshops I've done or tutorials. And that comes from the movie The Shawshank Redemption. The poster is Tim Robbins holding his hands in the air in the rain. And that's kind of what we want. When you're lighting, you want a light here and a light here. You want a cross light, right? This could be your key or this could be your key. Pick one as your main light, and then you're going to use something to bounce the light in or use a second light to fill in the shadows. So with this light, the easy way to do that is I have a light here, and then I'm going to use, so key, main light, brightest light, and then I'm going to use this to fill in the shadows. And then the light behind me is the backlight, which separates me from the background. Make sense? Okay, so the reflector, this is something you can get off of Amazon if you want to buy your own. They're 40 bucks, something like that. You want to get the 40-inch reflector. This is from a company called Westcott. This is not $40, but this has a silver side, which is what we use indoors. And outside, if I'm interviewing people outside, I'm going to unzip this. You can flip this over. This is reversible, and there's a white in here inside this, so you would put the white on the outside. White is great for outside, but guess what else is in here? There's a translucent disc in the middle, right? And the translucent disc allows me to, I can hold it up to a light and shoot through it. And then I have a beautiful big diffuser. And when you're working and with doing interviews and stuff, when you bring a professional kit and set up, people are like, wow, this looks really, really great, okay? Because it does look great. So again, we have the reflector is here. We have the shoot-through umbrella, which is great. And then you have the lighting kit. This is the Filex light kit here. There's 3 lights in here. I just have one set up. Yes, this is heavy. There is a handle down the back which pulls out like a luggage handle, so you can just pull it behind you. And then the way it sets up, if you look at the feet, I've got the feet spread out there. This is a lighting stand. This is not called a tripod. It's a lighting stand, and you can see I've got this set up. Now, typically, you want to have the light at a 45-degree down angle to your subject, which is here. This light doesn't go very high. The light stand is a bit limited in terms of height. So typically, if I was going to use a light, I want someone to sit down, which is better anyways. Light there, a light over here. Make sense? So you're going to have 2 lights, the main light, the key light, and then the fill light, which could be a reflector. But honestly, if you're carrying that light kit around with me, I would set up a second light and put it over here. But here's the important thing. The lights are not the same brightness level. make sure that one's a little bit less to give some shadows. And if you don't believe in the value of shadows, go look at any art painting of a portrait and look for the shadows, because shadows are where it's at. Okay, so there you go. So we have audio equipment that you can take out here. You want to bring an extra SD card. You want to bring an extra pair of headphones that you throw into like a kit. The garbage bags, which I think I made reference to, and some tape. What I would do is, I don't like the blue light, so if I'm in someone's living room, I'll pull out the garbage bags and use masking tape and tape at the windows so that it goes black, and then use the Filex lights to be just fantastic lighting. And this is also important too. When you're lighting somebody, please don't light them right up against the wall, right? I don't know if you can see here, but can you see the shadow on my head there behind? Don't put people up against the wall. If you're shooting somebody, shoot them like this. The lighting's not going to be good because I'm back. Well, actually, I can go this way. Okay, that's probably what we want. And so you want the shadow to fall behind the subject, all right? Not this way. And if you're interviewing somebody, the one thing, let's say they have a chair, right? A low back chair like this is great. So when I'm sitting down, right, can you see the chair in the shot? Not very much. But if you have one of those high back lazy boy recliners or a big couch, it puts the pillow right to their face, and you can get a lot of shadow, hard shadow on the pillow, which looks terrible. So even if you have to take like a kitchen table chair and put it in their living room or whatever, it will look better because you're not seeing the chair, you're just seeing the medium close-up of them. The medium close-up is the shot we like. Armpits, watch the headroom, and make sure they're not looking into the camera, and give them nose room as well. I don't know what this shot looks like because I can't see it. Actually, here, I'll flip it around and show you like this. Oh yeah, the lighting's awful. So this is just backlighting. So you would look a 5 o'clock shadow or something. But see the shadow you see is my phone, so the light's blocking it. So ignore the lighting, but see the background. If I shoot straight into the background, it's going to look really flat. What looks better is an angled background. See the plant? Not too bad. It gives it some depth and some texture as well. So I'll show you again over here. Let's see. So straight in, it looks like a passport photo or some kind of a police lineup. But if I turn, right, and move the shadow out, see how the shadow falls behind, you don't see it anymore? I think that looks pretty good. Dr. Gary Gould works at Toronto Metropolitan University. Today he's in the studio. He joins us, right? Shadow here. So what do I need? The reflector. You bring that in to the side, and you're going to have yourself a really nice shot. Okay, so let's do this. I'm going to use the reflector to fill in the shadow. I'm going to get rid of that shadow behind me. See the difference? See what that's doing? It's just filling in the shadow. And then let's say I want to talk this way. Boom, boom, boom. Dr. Gould, can you look the other way? Because you want me looking at this way because of the person that you're putting me up against, the person you're following me with. See the difference? Right? I'm going to move this around. We all have a good side. I like my side. I like this way. I like looking this way on camera. I just see how I just think it looks better with my hair, right? So you can test that for yourself or with your subject. So there you go. So for the third time today, I have gone through everything. I like this one the best because I think it's shorter, which you'll like better. And I think it's a bit more dynamic using the smartphone, so I can kind of show you and walk around with things, whereas before it was just a fixed camera. See the backlighting? See what it does to my hair? Pretty good, eh? Actually, let's finish the video with a nicely lit shot, okay? So it's all about knowing your lights. You need one here and one there. So you need 2 lights and a backlight. So I'm going to use this light over here. It was my backlight. Now I'm going to use it as a fill light or a key light. So that light's there. This light in behind me is going to be my backlight. And then I'm going to use the silver reflector here. You see what I'm doing? I'm going to set this up so that my face is properly lit. How's that? You don't like how you look on TV? You probably haven't lit yourself properly. I'm sorry if the sound is hollow. If I knew that the technology would fail around me, I have a mic at home that works with my smartphone, but I don't have it. So thanks for bearing with me. But if the sound is hollow and bothersome, remember, sound is important, and make sure you bring good lighting, good miking. Yes, it's a hassle to carry half this stuff, but it's absolutely worth it when you see it, because when people watch it a year from now, they don't say, boy, wasn't it a pain? People that I know that carry heavy stuff say, yes, it was absolutely worth everything, every minute to carry it. And make sure too, you double check your equipment before you leave, wherever you're leaving from, whether it's the school or home. does it work? Plug everything in. And again, my lesson today is I tested things that still failed. So having a backup's not a problem. If an interview is really important, take 2 cameras, turn on your smartphone, shoot it on a wide angle, because you'll be glad you did. So there you go. That's done in half the time. And I think overall it's a better video because for lots of reasons, but sometimes when technology fails, the second time around is better, but not in interviews. I can tell you, I have to redo interviews, and the second interview is never as good as the first one, because the person is going to give you the best answers the first time around, because they haven't thought about it. It's much more spontaneous, and it's just always a better answer the first time. So be careful out there. Anyways, that's it. Thanks for watching today, and I hope to see you again real soon. Thanks for watching.